Alright, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keenan, and yes, welcome back to Vigil. Now, this is a game that I've not covered in a long while, which I do feel bad about, to be honest, because if you've been around the channel for long, you could say this is like the video that took off the channel, properly kicked off Bundicot, because it was my very first proper survival horror video, so yeah, I really should be returning to cover it more often. Since I haven't covered the game in such a long time though, here is just a quick refresher for any newcomers to the channel who don't really know what Vigil is. Vigil is a survival horror game being developed by the YouTube channel called Resident of Evil, alongside developer Moonglin and other parties that are also helping out with the project. The game is heavily inspired by the classic Resident Evil titles, more along the lines of like RE1 Remake in particular, with the setting and the atmosphere. If you want to fully catch up with the game's progress, I'll link a few of my older videos down in the description below, including the new survival horror video that just covers the basics for you. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's dive into the new progress being made, let's discuss, let's talk about it, and yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into Vigil. So the first biggie in terms of news is of course the brand new official trailer. Well, it's not really, I call it brand new because I'm only just talking about it, but the trailer actually did come out back in January, so yeah, you know. This trailer gave us quite a wee bit to talk about, but let's just look at the story details first. The trailer begins after the events of the game, with JJ, or John, as his character is called, is being interviewed by his superior, or also known as the Agent. Also, fun fact, this agent interviewer person is actually voiced by Leon from RE2 Remake, which is quite cool. So the game is doing the classic story thing of, let me take you back to where it all began on that fateful night. But since we only see this John character, I'm kind of curious what happened to the rest of the team members of, is it RO3? RO3 team? Anyway, so John takes us back to how the team got split up and ended at Beechworth Manor. The team were on their way to a mission objective until a civilian who walked into the middle of the road caused them to crash. Sorry, but see if I seen, like I was driving down this wee road, right, and I seen this spooky bitch just emerge with a death wish. I would have fulfilled that death wish if I was behind the wheel. Like, I would not stop, because that thing, if you were just driving along, you would move it the way if you found a deer or something like that, or a human. But if that lassie walked into the middle of the road as casually as she did, I wouldn't give a fuck. So we were in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, they don't really dive too much into the story, of course, because you don't really want to spoil the entire thing in one trailer, as every Hollywood trailer does, but it does leave us with questions like, who is this spooky bitch? What's the deal with Beechworth Manor? And of course, what are the creatures lurking in its halls? All of this I'm sure we'll get answers to later down the line. If there is one thing you can take away from the trailer, is the nice looking environments. I think it's actually the best thing about this game so far is the atmosphere and the mansion. Honestly, the main hall does look really nice, and the snow on the outside gives me a feeling similar to what I had with The Shining. The trailer also shows off a few weapons as well, like a handgun, a shotgun, an assault rifle, and even a grenade launcher towards the end. And if all these weapons can be attained by the one character, I'm kinda curious how many more weapons are out there, especially if each character are gonna have their own little tiny playstyles, you know? One thing that did pique my interest as well from the trailer is the comic book style cinematic at the start in the interrogation room. I did go over to Twitter and ask JJ from Ro about this, and he confirms that this comic style will be for cutscenes, which I do really like, to be honest. I'd prefer that rather to like clunky close-up animated cinematics that many indie games are guilty of. Enemies in the trailer look very ghoulish and will essentially act as the game's zombie replacement, which a lot of these like Resident Evil sort of clone games, they always do have those zombie replacements. So if you're curious, what kind of variation will we have with the enemies? Well, these enemies aren't the final ones, of course. Like this game is quite early on in development. We're going to be seeing a lot more development in terms of the enemies and stuff like that. But from the trailer, you can expect a crawly ghoul, you got a brute ghoul, and of course, the ghoul. By the way, I'm just calling them that because they don't have a name yet, and they look like ghouls, so I'm just going to call them ghouls. Composer Mono Memory, who is known for the Resident Evil remixes, is making the soundtrack for the game. Their music can be heard in the background of the trailer and in this video as well, so if you want to go check out their music and check out the soundtrack, I'll leave that down in the description below. Now, outside of the trailer, we do have a bunch of more information to talk about. Information that is quite saucy indeed. Work is being done on brand new models that are being added to the game, and these models are 10 times better than what we've seen in previous footage. These models were captured through an iPhone 10 and later edited and textured by a guy called Rick the Gasian, if that's how you say that word. Now what's very intriguing about Rick is that he worked on models for Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is mad that he's now working on Vigil. He's actually became the project manager for the game as well, which involves setting deadlines, establishing goals, you know, all the project manager business, with JJ now acting as Vigil's director. I was actually sent over a piece of concept art as well for the John character model, which was created by Dakota Lee, which looks pretty cool to be honest. The one on the right gives me a right Barry Burton vibe. So where is this game at in terms of development? Well, the Vigil team has shifted focus from making small gameplay teasers to full development. So from those prior gameplay teasers you would find on social media and in the demos. JJ also tells me that they are aiming to get a full alpha of Vigil by fall 2020. Now before you all start jumping at your seats with joy, that does not mean that this game is going to be coming out this year. It just means that they are aiming to just have the game in a playable state by the end of the year, which means we could possibly see it in a 2021 or 2022 release date. Again, this is all like a good old maybe. They're aiming to have it in alpha by fall 2020, but they might not have it done by then, so you know, we'll just need to wait and see. JJ does tell me that the crew are working hard and progressing faster now that they have shifted from gameplay snippets to full-on development. So yeah, that was all the new information for Vigil. What do you all think about it, and are you looking forward to the game? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you're wanting to get a feel for the game, I'll leave a link to the enemies demo and the soundtrack down in the description below. Special thanks to my Barillamy patrons, KG, Proxy1, TG Monster, and Enigma Plays 115 for your continued support over on Patreon. Thank you guys so much, I do really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just curious to see what this final game is going to be looking like. I'm really hoping it strives for individuality rather than just being a remake clone, because there has been games out there has been survival horror games that have been literally copy and paste of Resident Evil, which you don't really need. Of course your game can be inspired by it, but it should not be a carbon copy of it. I've talked about this many a times in previous videos. But yeah, thank you all for watching, I do really appreciate it, and I shall be seeing you all in the next video. Bye bye.